Hello, this is Ian Noel Camelotis for Centertainment Media, and welcome to Chatterbox. Hello everyone, I'm here again at ASEN. This is ASEN's 20th anniversary, and I'm here with the famous chalk artist Eric Maruscak. How are you doing this year?
I'm doing good. I am tired, but I am feeling great because we got the artwork standing.
Well, I'm looking at this. This is a very unique choice this year. Was it Viz Media that asked you to do this particular anime for this year's chalk art?
Yes, absolutely. Viz Media has been having a big Jojo push this weekend. They've made a couple announcements about it and stuff like that, and they sent me this artwork about 3 weeks ago, and I took one look at it, and at first I was like, oh my god, that's going to be an undertaking, because it has this crazy warped checkerboard pattern in the background that's all magenta and cyan. The characters are like super colorful, and then if you look, there's these really unique shadow patterns that kind of curve through it that don't really follow the typical lighting sources. It's almost like there's been these dark areas overlaid on top of the piece, and I didn't know how that was going to translate to the artwork, but seeing it finished and standing up, I'm really happy with how it turned out.
I mean, I'm loving the color. I know at the beginning when people got the chance to see the photo, it's a lot brighter. I know you wanted to make things pop, but it's like this looked like this is the loudest out of all the chalk arts, at least you've done here, because of how crazy the colors are, and you were talking about the shading too, and I'm even looking at like, how does this all come fit in perfectly? So now, were you given any other options, or was this just the one they said, we want you to do this one?
You know, some shows I'm given lots of options. I've done pieces at previous shows where a company will say, well, we know we want it to be a certain brand, here's 10 items, tell us which one works the best. In this case, that was the image. They sent it and said, this is what you're doing. And I've had that happen before, where companies say, you can't alter it, you can't change it, right down to the copyright lines at the bottom, this is what we want. And I'm always like, okay, because it's a challenge to do something that's not my normal style. And as people have seen who've been coming to Anime Central for all these years, every year it's something quite different looking, and it's a great challenge to try and study the artwork of these different artists, see how they do their line work, see how they do their coloring, you know, how they actually do the layout, the balance and stuff like that, where they exaggerate points, where they make them more subtle. I learn a lot about the artwork when I recreate them. So my initial reaction to seeing a piece might just be like, can I have a couple options? But I always immediately get over that and go, no matter what, I'll make this work. If that's what you want, I'll do it. And we'll make it look really cool, because I always learn along the way. I learn to appreciate the art in a way that a lot of people glancing at it don't. Because when you're recreating every single line that exists in a piece of artwork, you learn a lot about it. So I always love the challenge of trying these different things.
And yeah, that is a challenge, because you're not doing technically your artwork other than the chalk art itself. You're doing someone else's artwork, and not only that, it's taking the what is it, 8x11 that you would get sometimes, or something a little bit bigger, yeah. And then you have to put it on this scale, which, I mean, the grid on this has got to be crazy.
Yeah, it's a 1200% enlargement. I know that because on the small piece I do an inch by an inch grid, and the big piece is a foot by a foot. So it's 1200% enlargement. And then I don't use a projector. I don't trace. A lot of people ask me, oh, you just project it to get the line work. It's all done by hand. I basically look at the little squares on the small piece while I'm sitting on the big piece, and I do the sketch. I record a time lapse of the entire process, and if you watch those, I have them on my YouTube channel, I actually include the sketching portion of the entire sketch right in the video. I want people to see there's no projecting, there's no tracing, it's just done by eye, and you'll see me sitting there with my little reference sheet, and I'll go through and I'll redraw all the lines. But it's important that I do it that way, because if you just trace, you really don't learn about how the person created the art, why they put the lines where they did. By redrawing it and having to think through it, you begin to understand the proportions, the form, you know, why something tucks the way it does, right down to the wrinkles in the clothing. So to me, those 7-8 hours of doing the initial sketch before I even come to the show are extremely important, because that's how I learn about the art, and that's how I map out how I'm going to approach it.
Okay, that actually explains a lot because this is not. I mean, for some art students, it's like you do the tracing and it's like, well, now you got something, but they don't get the full impact of how the artist does.
And here's the thing: tracing as a start is great. All artists can start and should start with doing some tracing. It does help you to start getting a sense of proportions. But eventually, the step that every artist has to take is moving from that tracing to the reference, to looking at it and recreating it yourself. And yes, you can use the grid system. It's not cheating. I mean, it goes all the way back to Da Vinci and Michelangelo. They did it too. But it really is something that you need to get off the tracing eventually and get to the point where you're doing the recreation, because that's when your brain begins to wrap around what's actually going on in the picture and why it's being done. So to me, that's how I started, and I started with comic strips in the newspapers. I would like trace Garfield or trace, when I was young, it was Calvin and Hobbes and Far Side and stuff like that. And then eventually I started trying to recreate them while drawing, while looking at them. Then the next step after that is, well, now I wonder if I can make my own characters, and then you start working from your imagination. So it's trace, copy, imagine. And you have to go through all 3 steps. Every artist does. But once you get to that imagine stage, the world opens up for you, and it's amazing the stuff you can come up with.
Well, looking at it now, you've done so many different art pieces for different cons, especially here at Anime Central. How many years have you been doing this now? Because this has been a number of years that you've been here.
Been here 5, and I'll go through each one for you here. The first year I was here, I did Madoka Magica. The second year I was here was Lupin the Third, Fujiko Mine. That was from Madhouse, and it was this really unique, colorful piece. The third year I was here, I did a Blood Lad piece, and then last year it was the cover of the actual program. So it was the first year I didn't do unknown IP from one of the publishers or one of the anime distributors. I did it for Anime Central directly. They wanted their cover recreated. The original art was by Comfort and Adam, who are people who are in Artist Alley, and they had designed the cover. They actually designed this year's cover too. So those are my previous 4 years, and now year 5, which is the 20th anniversary of ASIN, and I get to do Jojo's Bizarre Adventure.
Well, what have you been some of your favorite moments? I know you spend so long just doing this just throughout the day, but what have been some of your favorite moments at ASIN outside of the chalk art?
Well, I'll tell you right now, some of my favorite moments are when I'm done for the day. Well, during the day, talking to people. I love it when people come up and have questions. I don't care if it's the same question I've heard 1,000 times. I love to give them the answers because they're genuinely curious about what I'm doing. And then all day I'll talk to people, all day I'll discuss what I'm doing. I work nonstop while I'm talking to people. After the show, it's a lot of fun. I get to go back to the hotel. First thing, I take a hot shower because it feels so good to get the chalk off me. But then I will go walk around the hotel because I'm over in the Hyatt, and it's where everyone gathers, and it's like a gigantic costume ball. I mean, everyone is over there filling every corner and every inch of the multi-tiered lobby that they got. I can go down there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just people watch and just look at the costumes and get photos of people and stuff like that. Lately, I've been like trying to get more into doing some live videos onto my Facebook page and stuff, and talking while I'm at shows, which I never used to do. So that's fun.
It's a lot of fun, dude.
Telling stories about what happened during the day, catching people up. Instead of just trying to write it all out, it's fun to talk directly to people and stuff and get instant reactions. So I've started doing that kind of stuff, and then on the last day, right now, which the show I think has about 2.5 hours left, once in a while I get to leave the thing and actually go see the show floor. And I do like a real quick fly through of looking at just the major stuff. I would love to be able to stay longer. I'd love to be able to go to panels and all that, but of course I got a job to do. But I do enjoy those moments when I get to kind of breeze through and see stuff. And actually a great moment I had last night was when I left here, I took about 20 minutes and I went to the gaming room they have upstairs. This year they knocked that out of the park. It was awesome. I loved it, and it was just, I wanted to hang out there all night. I'm like, I know I got to get sleep. I got a job to do. First and foremost, that's what's most important. I can't stay up till 2 or 3, even though I want to. It's important that I get this done. But man, I wanted to go up there and I just wanted to hang out in their gaming lounge for I don't know how long. It was awesome. And I would love to be able to make it some viewings. I mean, I'd love to catch up. There's so much anime I got to catch up on that I haven't seen that I've been wanting to see. So that's something else that once in a while at certain shows, especially if they're doing like all night viewings, I'll do a late night one. I'll go in and I'll catch something for a half hour or an hour. But for the most part, my experience is this 9-foot by 12-foot area, and that's most of my show. So to me, the fun is the reactions too. My absolute favorite moment is this: when I get to stand the piece up and everyone gets to see actually how big it is and get pictures of it and get pictures undistorted because it's so hard to shoot when it's on the floor. This is just it completely finalizes the whole reason I'm here, and it just makes it fantastic.
Well, That's great to hear. Well, one question I just realized that I haven't seen too many people ask, since it is the 20th anniversary and this is already year 5 for you, so about a fourth of the way of the whole history. How did you get connected with Anime Central? Because I know different cons will reach out to you. Some of them you get connected in different ways. How did you get connected with Anime Central in terms of doing this on a regular basis?
Well, it varies show to show. And some shows, the show itself has seen me, and they contact me, and they're like, we're going to bring you directly. Some shows, I'll have a company contact me first that's going to be at the show, and they're going to say, hey, can you come out to name check one, Penny Arcade Expo in Seattle? I had Nintendo. Call me up. And they said, we'd seen your stuff. Can you come out and do one for us? So sometimes it's the company bringing me. Sometimes it's the show itself. Sometimes it's me personally just reaching out to a show that I've heard about for years and been like, wow, I'd always love to go to that. And it'd be fantastic to do. So that can vary. In terms of Anime Central, I was actually discussing it with the staff, trying to specifically remember when the point happened. They reached out to me, but I think it was because they saw me at another show. It might have been Otakon, because a lot of times they have a booth at Otakon and they saw my work. But I can't remember the exact 5-year ago moment, how it exactly happened, but they were very interested in bringing me out. And it was a new show for me, so I didn't know how it was going to go. I had no idea how big it was. It was in Chicago. I have to fly there from New York State, so it's, flights involved and all that. I'm going to be gone for 4 or 5 days. So I didn't know what it was going to be like. The moment I got here, I was home. This place has felt so awesome. It helps that it's the Rosemont, which this I think is my 9th or 10th time doing a piece in the Rosemont. I've been coming here for years, for previous shows before Anime Central. So this place is to me like home too. But everyone at Anime Central, the staff, the people, were so welcoming and organized. I mean, I go to shows where a lot of times it's last minute before the doors open and I still don't have like stanchions set up. They haven't got everything together. They're still talking to the union about bringing stuff out. These guys have everything locked down. They know what they're doing. If a problem comes up, they correct it. They're amazing. So that first year, the moment I got here, I knew I'd be coming back to this show for years. And I'm glad to have made this my 5th. Hopefully it's only the 5th of many, because I hope I'm making it back for many years to come.
Well, we hope we see you on a regular basis. Well, one last thing, I always ask this of artists, and you've given your advice before, but want to ask this again. Do you have any advice for any aspiring artist, whether it's chalk art or any kind of art that you would like to impart on any of them?
Absolutely. This is actually a story I've told 3 or 4 times to people coming up this weekend. Making art, most people can do it, but the problem is most people can do it until they're upset with themselves about it. All artists get upset with your work. The ones who are successful are the ones who get past that. Now, by saying that, what I mean is you could draw for a half hour and you may hate what you're doing. But just imagine even if you hated it and you hated every line of it, you kept going. An hour, 2 hours, 4. You add more lines, you correct the ones you have. You touch things up, because it's a work in progress. It doesn't have to be perfect with every line that's laid down. Then what if you get to hour 8, hour 10? You're adding background, you're adding shading, you're adding color, things you never normally do. So many artists will draw like a face, be unhappy with it, give up. There goes a whole sheet of paper out the window. Well, this takes 30 hours to make from start to finish. Imagine what you could accomplish in 30 hours. I don't care if you ever show it to nobody. I don't care if you never have it leave your sketchbook. But if you put 30 hours in on a piece, you would be amazed at what you can accomplish. Stuff you never thought possible. And once that door is open, you know you can do it again. You've done it once, you can do it more times. So to me, one of the most important things an artist can do is not give up. Not trash their own artwork, stop before it's finished, not complete. Finish it, sketch the whole thing out, sketch the background, do a whole finished piece. And like I said, even if never anyone sees it, get that experience in and know you can do it. Because once you've done that, you can do it more often. And eventually, before I did chalk art, I was drawing small cartoons. That was my thing. As a cartoonist, I like to draw tiny. I like to draw on small pieces of paper. I never thought I'd be doing giant 9-foot by 12-foot, 30-hour live performance murals at shows 15 years ago. I had no idea that was going to happen. Let alone now I've done close to 70 of them. So you don't know what's going to happen in 10 short years and how much you can accomplish. Start now. Don't give up. And get past that point where you tend to stop working on a piece. Get past that point and see what you can discover. That's the best advice I can give anybody.
Well, thanks for taking the time to chat with us. Do check out his work. This is Eric Maruscak on pepperinc.com. You can see the time lapses of his previous videos, and then we should be seeing this about a couple weeks or so, maybe?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's only going to be a couple weeks. I do have more shows coming up. And I've also I do a web comic, so I'm working on that in between for a company. So I'm trying to figure out exactly when I'm going to squeeze this in. Fortunately, next weekend's Memorial Day weekend. I got 3 days. Maybe I can start the editing and get a good chunk down by then. Even if my finished video is not up, I know I'm going to be giving a rough cut directly to Viz Media, and they're going to be doing an abbreviated, shortened version that they're going to put out on their social media very quickly. So that should be up pretty quick, and then I'll get it on my YouTube channel as quick as I can. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you actually subscribe, you'll get notifications on it when the video goes up. You don't have to wait and look for it. I'm hoping just a couple weeks at the most, so we'll see if it happens.
Thank you again, Eric, and hopefully we'll see you for years to come here.
I'm looking forward to it. I am.